Welcome to episode 194 of the Tastecast, our weekly podcast. We talk about all things gaming. In this episode, we discuss game releases. That's right, this is the first Tastecast of this month. I apologize. I was on vacation and I caught a Vegas virus, a late summer virus that has been giving me a full buffet of symptoms, but I'm finally ready to get this going, so that's why this has been delayed. But this is the first Tastecast of the month, and so with that we have to do game releases, so we discuss that. We also watch Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2 extended gameplay trailer, Assassin's Creed Mirage first hands-on preview, Alan Wake 2 exclusive hands-on preview, and then of course we read your comments, and I talk about Starfield, because the first thing I did when I got back from vacation was played Starfield and beat Starfield in like a day. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, also quick reminder as well that it is our community pick game of the month in October. That means this month right now you can comment on any of the videos this month. Any game you want us to play in October, that will all get thrown into a list. That list will be put on the wheel. The wheel will spin and randomly pick the game of the month for October that you guys picked, and 2 runner-ups that will make it onto our list for future random picks. So type in any game name in the comments on this video right now, and we'll appreciate it. And I'm really excited to find out what you guys pick for us to play in October. All right, hopefully you guys enjoy this Tastecast. What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 194 of the Tastecast, our weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, welcome back to doing another Tastecast. It's been a little bit since we have done one. I was on vacation, and then I got sick from vacation, and I'm finally kind of recovering enough to be able to have this conversation. So hopefully you're ready to have this conversation and excited to talk about all the things we're going to be talking about in this episode.
I don't know what we're going to talk about, so...
All right, cool. It's a big surprise. Kind of threw some things together because TGS is coming up, I think, the 21st of this month. So we are in a little bit of a drought in terms of stuff to react to. But there's some stuff to watch. One of the videos we're going to be watching is like 2 weeks old that I wanted to react to before I left. But I guess we're going to do it now. So that'll be for me. But yeah, Glad you're feeling good and ready to talk about this and whatever we're about to talk about. And yeah, I'm going to try and get through this. So if I sound a little off or a little low energy, I am still recovering, guys. So bear with me. All right. So before we jump into everything, I want to remind you guys that this is the month before our community pick game of the month in October, which means you guys get to pick the game we play in October. How that works is all the episodes this month, which is now 2, but it will be 4 tomorrow. So we'll be doubling the videos with, State of Play and Nintendo Direct. So we'll be reacting to both those individually as TLG Reacts, so stay tuned for those. But any episodes this month, you can type in any game that you want to be put onto the list for October's pick. We'll get that list, we'll put it on the wheel like we do, we'll spin the wheel randomly, and 2 of those will be runner-ups put on our list for later random picks, and then one of them will be the pick for game of the month in October. So super simple, just vote once, it'll be put on the list. So you got a game you would like to see us talk about, and maybe you want to join in on that conversation in October, just type in the name of the game, and we'll be put on a list. So yeah, super simple, and can't wait to find out what you guys pick for us to play in October. All right, so this is the first Tastecast of the month, and so we're going to be jumping into game releases. We're going to talk about the games coming out and see if anything has got us excited. One real quick thing I'm seeing right here, I forgot, Mortal Kombat 1 is coming out, and when I was looking for videos for us to react to, IGN already has every single cinematic as a movie on their YouTube for Mortal Kombat 1, and the game's not even out. So if you're so inclined to just want to watch all of Mortal Kombat already before the game comes out, IGN has done you a favor. All right, so let's jump into this. So September 5th, we got Rune Factory 3 special for Switch and PC. Then on the 5th, we got Chants of Sennaar on Switch and PC. September 6th, we got Baldur's Gate 3 on PS5. That did come out. on PS5? Okay, cool. I didn't know if that got delayed or anything. Starfield came out on the 6th as well on Xbox Series and PC. Then on the 8th, we got Fae Farm on Switch. On the 8th, we got NBA 2K24 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And then on the 12th, we got Myth Force on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then on the 12th as well, we got Super Bomberman R2 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And then also on the 12th, we got Eternights on PS4, PS5, PC. Then on the 13th, we got Gunbrella on Switch and PC. Then on the 14th, we got Batten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD Remaster on Switch. Do you know they're doing that? I forgot those games existed. On the 14th as well, we got Inspector Gadget Mad Time Party on PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Then Gloomhaven comes out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Switch on the 18th. And then, Mortal Kombat 1 comes out on the 19th, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. That is a full-on next-gen game. Liza P finally comes out on the 19th as well on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. And it's getting anywhere from 7s to 9s. So, good to see. Witchfire comes out on the 20th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Then on the 20th as well, we got Party Animals on Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. Warhaven comes out on PC on the 20th. And then on the 21st, we got Payday 3 coming out on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Fun fact, I tried to play that, but I couldn't. It's an always online game. You have to sign up for it. They would not send me an email. And then when the beta ended,
you got your email?
Then I got my email.
Yeah.
So that was not a good sign. September 26th, we got Mineko's Night Market on Switch and PC. Then also on the 26th, it seems like everything's on the 26th, Harvest Moon, The Wind of Anthos on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And then 26th as well, My Time at Sandrock, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then 26th as well, Paleo Pines, however you say that, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Then Cocoon comes out on the 29th for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And the last game of the month is on the 29th, and that is EA Sports FC 24, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Chevy, what games are calling out to you in September, and have you picked up any already?
Well, first and foremost, I would say if you have a PS5, you should give serious consideration to Baldur's Gate 3.
The biggest and most hyped game of all of 2023 so far. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about that game.
Same.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then I am going to eventually pick up Starfield. I am very behind on the games I want to play this year, though. So
Same.
If I'm lucky, I'll get to it this year. But I am curious, though, now that it's out and I've heard what it is as a game, I'm becoming less curious. But I am notoriously not a big Bethesda fan. So
Same. Anymore.
Yeah. But I should probably give it a fair shot. Let's see. I had no idea they were making Batten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD Remaster. I am honestly a little curious. I don't know if those games hold up or not, but we'll maybe I'll pick that up. Mortal Kombat 1 is also on my list, but I don't know if I'll be getting that on the 19th because, again, I'm trying to get through some games right now. One of those being the aforementioned Baldur's Gate 3. Liza P, I'm curious to watch people play because I keep kind of hearing it's like basically Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But I know me, I won't play that game. But I am excited to see what they bring to the table in that. Party Animals, if I'm not mistaken, is one of those like physics-based like beat each other up games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen early footage of that game. It's hilarious. I don't think I'll pick it up, but it'll make for good streams and stuff like that.
For some reason, I thought the game already came out.
I thought so too, but I think maybe it was in early access.
Yeah.
Payday 3, I do want to pick up.
I keep hearing negative things about it, which has me worried.
Well, maybe I'll wait till it comes out and see what the final verdict is.
Yeah.
And then Harvest Moon confuses me because I thought Season of Stories just came out, and I don't know what they're doing.
Me neither.
Are they separate games? Because Or are they the same? Like what? Anyways, I like those kind of games, but I kind of fell out of Harvest Moon specifically. I did recently, quote unquote recently, I did pick up Rune Factory 5. I'd like to play at some point, but
You haven't played it yet?
I haven't had time.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel that.
So,
I'm blown away, and we'll talk about it. I'm blown away. I sat down and beat Starfield because I haven't sat down and just beat something in a while.
yeah.
So I feel it. You'll talk about it, but you beat a certain game that I haven't beaten still, and I should have beat a long time ago. So, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
anything else?
No, for the amount of games on there, it's actually kind of a easy list for me. So
Yeah. I already have Baldur's Gate 3. I need to play Baldur's Gate 3. I'd like to beat it before the end of the year, and I think I'm going to be able to do that because, even though I got a lot of games kind of stacked up, that is one of my bigger priority games that could be a contender for Game of the Year for me for sure. So I need to sit down and play it. But just kind of mentioning it because it's coming out on PS5, I'm excited for more people to be able to play it because the game wasn't even out on PS5 or console in general, and it was already getting talked about a lot. So
I also just kind of throw it out there. Microsoft, I think, is helping Larian get that out this year on Xbox as well. So
yeah, it was kind of a big thing for like the first week. Everybody kept talking about how there's no release date for Xbox, and then the conversation turned into that the Series S was holding the game back, and then that expanded to the Series S holding gaming back. And I'm sure at that point Xbox is like, fuck, we need to like get this out. So I'm sure they are going to help with that. That makes sense. And yeah, then I heard that they said it's going to come out before the end of the year. So that's huge. That's awesome. I want everybody to be able to get their hands on Baldur's Gate 3 because it is really one of the best games of the year easily. So yeah, really cool to see that coming out on console. Really curious to see how it's received and how people like the way it plays on a controller, because I tried the controller a little bit on PC and it was functional, not preferable, but functional for sure. So they had put some thought into it. I have picked up and played Starfield, so I will be talking about that this episode, but that is already checked off. Let's see. I own Gloomhaven on PC, and I have for a while, and I've never played it, so I should probably play that. Mortal Kombat 1, I'm on the same page. I am more interested in this one than the last Mortal Kombat, but I'm still not, like, day one have to get it. But it looks great, and definitely going to be interested to hear what people have to say about it, because I know a lot of people are really excited for it. So yeah, looks really cool, and I will pick it up at some point for sure. Liza P also, same boat. I'm interested in picking this up. It's right on my alley. It's a game I've been watching for a while, and now that I'm seeing the reviews are like, all good, basically, I'm like, okay, cool, because that's one of those games that like was being made by like an unproven studio, and I was kind of like, well, the concept sounds cool, but it could also just be like, just kind of an attempt at making a Souls-like many people have done, and only few have done very well. So to see those reviews has kind of reinforced my interest in the game to want to pick it up. So yeah, Witchfire, I think, is that first-person shooter that we've been seeing for a while. I'm curious about that. I'll be curious to see what people are saying on that. Same thing with Party Animals. That one's confusing because I feel like I've watched people play that for like months.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but that is a kind of a party game that definitely is right in my alley as well. Payday 3, I went from like really excited, and I still am. I feel like I am, but the more I hear about it, the more I hear people being disappointed with it, which doesn't fully sway my opinion, of course, but at the same time, enough of that message over and over and over again has alarm bells ringing for me. So, and then trying to play the beta to get my own opinion didn't happen. So yeah, hopefully they're handling it well enough, but I mean, if it's Payday 2 but better, I'll be happy. So
yeah, I mean, that might be something that just needs to cook longer. So
yeah, and Payday 2 has been around forever, so if Payday 3 isn't just outright trashed as soon as it comes out, they'll support it for a long time. So yeah, they'll definitely fix whatever the issue is, if there is issues. The biggest thing I keep hearing about is, outside of the same issue I ran into where I couldn't get into the beta, a lot of people ran into that, is a lot of people just say it's just like Payday 2. They keep calling it like Payday 2.5, but that would be not a big deal to kind of disappointing, depending on what elements of it feel like Payday 2. Because at the base minimum, I want it to feel like Payday 2, but I do want more from it as well. So, yeah, that's the games I am interested in playing. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about the games coming out this month? What games have you already picked up? What games do you plan on picking up? And is there any games that this list did not mention? Let us know everything you think about in the comments below. All right, let's jump into what we've been playing. We're talking about the games we've been playing, and let's start with you.
Okay.
Since you've been around to play games for like the last week, what have you been playing?
Well, I'll start with the ones I can't talk about. I have played, I'm forgetting the names, Black Desert Online on PlayStation 5. Uh-oh.
You're trying to think of the Plus Club
I
games?
am, yeah.
Saints Row,
Played Saints Row.
Generation Zero,
Played
Black
a
Desert.
little bit of Generation Zero. I do need to play more of that one, but I did play for a little bit. Yeah, so I played all those.
All right.
Come back at the end of the month to hear opinions.
I would like to... Well, I'd like to play all three of those with you at some point, but if there's one of those three that I would like to prioritize playing co-op in, it's Generation Zero, because...
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to play much of that without playing a co-op. So.
Okay. No, it's fine, because I've already finished the campaign and done most of the content on PC within that game, so I'm pretty well versed in it. And
depending how far you are in Black Desert, that might be hard, because I kind of put a pretty long sit on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally, jumping in a little bit to what I've been playing as well, but I'll mention it again when I go. But I've also played all the PlayStation Plus games. But basically, I prioritize getting past the tutorials on all three of them, because I've played all three of them already. So.
Yeah. No opinion, but lengthwise, I am past level 20 in Black Desert. So.
Okay. I feel like that'd be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, it was longer than I thought it was going to take, to be honest. Yeah. Especially for how old the game is. But anyways, yeah, I don't want to talk too much because I don't start.
There's so many classes in that game.
There are.
What class did you pick?
Started. God, what did I pick on PS5? I know on PC I have the spear and shield person in the very shiny armor.
I don't know if I'm just thinking of Final Fantasy 14 right now, or Final Fantasy in general, or another MMO. But I think there's a class in this called Corsair.
There is. It's like a mermaid thing. Though.
Mermaid pirate person. That's what I picked.
And Final Fantasy 11 had a Corsair.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Though maybe with the next expansion.
Yeah.
What the hell did I pick? It's wow, dude, I am drawing a huge blank. Oh, Mason Shield. Mason Shield.
Okay.
I don't know what the name of it is, but
okay.
The Mason Shield build. Yeah. I was like, what the hell did I pick? But I remember now. It has a lot of like frost moves and stuff like that. So definitely meant to be a tank, I think. But if there's a Trinity in that game, I'm so like uneducated on that game. So
same.
Let's see. I'm gonna move into some kind of easier ones. I played 2 new mobile games this week, which is usually not that exciting, but I feel like they are kind of larger titles. Final Fantasy Ever Crisis came out. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis came out. Been playing that a little bit. If you aren't aware of what that is, it is a collection of the story of Final Fantasy VII, basically. So it has Final Fantasy VII. It has Crisis Core. And it has, I think it's called First Soldier, which was, if I'm not mistaken, the Battle Royale they canceled. And it kind of gives you, like, you know, the story that most of us know, the prequel, and then even more prequel. So it has an active turn battle system, so it's very faithful in that regard, though you use macros and attacks are on an auto attack, basically. So as your ATB fills up, you can spend chunks of it to do moves. It has...
Would it satisfy possibly the people who wanted the remake to be turn-based as a new Final Fantasy VII?
That's a big maybe. It is a mobile game. So there's a lot of menus, a lot of like leveling gear up and grinding for materials to be able to get past. Essentially, like, this mission you'll need a power rating of 20,000 to access it, for example, type of thing. And if you're at 19,000, you have to grind out a little bit or level to proceed, and it has an energy system, so that's not going to be for everybody.
Not to derail too far from what you're talking about, but talking about Final Fantasy and then Square, did you see Square Enix is down $2 billion? Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? It's fucking crazy.
I think, they tried a lot of Western games, which I think was probably their biggest mistake.
Yeah.
And I think they just need to stick to making, how do I word this? Games that are focused around like their, region, culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people kind of fell in love with them for doing. Mm-hmm. And I will never tell someone not to try to expand their horizons and try new things. It's important to do that. But they just have not had a very successful go at it, which I think is kind of a tricky thing to talk about anyways, because, like, for example, Outriders is still a flop for them, but I think it's an enjoyable game. So
some people like Forspoken.
Yeah, and that could be a million different things, right? And the court of public opinion has a lot of sway as well with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Too many people are just ready to jump into a group and just agree with people without actually trying something themselves. And I'm not necessarily defending a title. I'm just saying in general in gaming, that's a very common thing. But yeah, you go back to Outriders though, like that was a pretty decent game, but I don't think it got very good advertising, and typical woes of AAA gaming these days, and has been for a while. It isn't very optimally made, so there are some weird issues sometimes, like when we had that weird cutscene thing at the end of the game as an example. So
yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing. And then also Avengers, they put 100 million into that, I think, and that was a huge flop, and that was kind of predictable, sadly. And then Forspoken, as much as I started getting kind of interested in it, the closer it was to coming out, the dialogue always sounded horrible to me, no matter what, and that also flopped. And that was their attempt at a Western style game as well. So I don't think.
Well, I was interested too, because that was the 15 devs, which already had a rocky game for the general audience of people. I enjoyed 15, but I know it's very common opinion to not like that game. So,
interesting. I don't hear a whole lot of people saying they dislike it. I don't hear people talk about it, but I hear a lot of people say that they liked it.
Anytime I hear people like bring up just Final Fantasy as a brand, and they sort of talk about the good ones or whatever, oftentimes 15 gets brought up in negative light. So
okay, interesting.
And I can see why in a lot of ways, though. I do think the story as a whole was good. I just don't think it was told well. So, but I can say that about other games. But if I mention one of them, I might get chastised. So we won't get too into that. But anyways, yeah, a lot of experimenting, a lot of money behind that too, because they tried making a lot of AAA games is a big thing. I really was like applauding them when they were pumping out all these like experimental small games like Octopath Traveler and what was it? They made 3 games. I can't remember. They're like old school RPG ones too. I played and beat the first one out of the 3. Can't think of the name right now. It's gonna drive me crazy. But and those were all really, really cool ideas. And I'm glad they did that. And then they put a lot of money into this AAA market. And I think a huge focus of that too, to go back to the Western audience thing. You even see that Final Fantasy 16. They really have a push for trying to get it into Western. The Western like ecosystem basically with that game. And with 16 it worked, but I think it kind of had to. So it's kind of their baby. But
Yeah, it's just interesting to watch. I mean, obviously, everything economic right now is not great around the world, but yeah, that hit for Square Enix is rough. And then also recently, I've been covering Embracer Group was supposed to have oddly enough, $2 billion deal with Savvy Games Group, which I think is a Saudi Arabian company, and they were going to merge, and then they pulled out. And after that, Embracer Group, because they had already planned on that deal going through, had to reprioritize their strategy, and with that, they got rid of Volition, which is insane. Like instantly, there's like you guys are done. And for anybody who doesn't know, those people who make Saints Row, one of the games we're playing for PlayStation Plus this month. Really weird timing, but also they made Red Faction back in the day, which for me is a little sad. Say what you will about what they're doing nowadays. I was a huge Red Faction fan when I was younger, and Saints Row 1 and 2. Yeah, so they got rid of them, and then they are apparently trying to sell Gearbox, who makes Borderlands, in case you don't know. And so there's a lot of weird things financially happening. It kind of starting to feel a little reminiscent of like 2008-ish when it came to big publishers and devs possibly having to start playing it safe here soon, which will be great for the indie scene, because that was the indie boom.
Except for one of the engine makers is being a dick right now. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the full details on that, but from what I've heard, Unity is making a lot of people really pissed, which is not good, Unity, because Unreal Engine 5 is apparently really easy to make games for, and it's a much better engine, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But anyway, that's a lot of shit going on right now that's really interesting, that I thought of because you brought up Final Fantasy.
Ever Crisis, yeah. Well, and Square doesn't have the best track record with mobile games either. They only have like 2 or 3 off the top of my head that have stayed in service for a long amount of time. They have a pretty long track record of like bringing out a game in a year, like within a year, canceling it. So.
That's what kind of freaks me out about the situation. Some people are saying they're not going to be able to recover from it, which I think is not, unless there's something else going on. I think is.
I think 14 is a little too reliable.
Yeah, I think it's unrealistic to say that. I think that's probably to push the story and make it scarier sounding so people will read it, but or look into it further. But it freaks me out because for a while there, Square Enix played it so safe that they weren't making good games for a long time for me personally, and then they pulled themselves out of that hole, and they've been making a bunch of great games. I still think they're making good games for sure, but they got comfortable, and we applauded it that they're making new IP. And some of those worked out for sure, but it kind of sucks to see the bigger budget projects that they felt comfortable enough making. 2 of them bombed completely, but they also were kind of predictably going to bomb. So it's weird that people who are playing the games can see that and know it's going to happen, but the people producing it made the decision to go forward. I mean, the Avengers one is kind of like, what were they supposed to do anyway? If Marvel comes up to you and says, we want to work with you to make a game, are you going to say no? But
it's also kind of weird timing too, because a lot of the superhero hype kind of died down too. So
yeah, but also that game, and people liked it, but Guardians of the Galaxy have like very simplistic gameplay and features that were trying to go for that always online games as a service feel that people just did not want.
Yeah, there's a lot of burnout in that sphere right now, for sure.
For sure, and there should be. They need to fucking innovate on that a bit, because it's getting kind of boring.
Yeah, well, and games are being celebrated right now for being
complete.
Yeah, full. I could just play this games. So,
yeah, I get less excited about a game that's promising to last forever and be a 10-year game. Like, I don't know. Some games can pull it off, but I don't think most games need to try to do that. Because
I think the market got too flooded. The same thing happened. MMOs were everywhere for a long time,
sure,
and then they went away.
And now they're gone. Now I want them. So yeah, it's just ebbs and flows.
But yeah, I don't think Square can afford to constantly be losing that kind of money. But I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, if anything, this is just illustrating they took a big hit with those risks they took.
Yeah, and I think the risks just need to be cheaper. I like
Sure.
Harvestella, for example, was like, a new game for them. I loved it. I don't think everyone would love it, but I also don't think it costs so much to make. So safe. Enough people played it. Anyone I know who played it enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I'm curious if it pulled a profit though, because even if it was cheap, if they didn't sell enough copies, it would be a flop. Just like that Valkyrie game they made. I don't know if that sold. I don't think they make the other RPG that came out, Star Ocean.
they do.
They make Star Ocean. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So if those three games all seem mid-budget, probably because they're all
I mean, they're re-releasing a Star Ocean right now, so
yeah. Well,
it's a remake. So.
yeah, I mean that's much cheaper. But anyway, if
Remaster?
if all three of those games didn't do very well, too, that can contribute towards that, which would suck because I would hate them to feel discouraged on trying to resurrect old franchises or make new ones. So, yeah, it'll be just to kind of wrap it up. It'll be really interesting to see, in a year what's going on with Square Enix, because it's a little creepy to see that big of a hit for them. But I'm sure they'll be fine. 14 does well, so.
Well, and I'll say a lot of that's going to be overplayed by people online anyway. So
Sure.
we'll just wait and see what happens.
Yep.
But to kind of wrap up, just the Ever Crisis thing. Ever Crisis? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's what you said earlier.
I would say if you, for some reason, haven't played Final Fantasy VII before and you just wanted to kind of get some of the story, and you don't mind mobile game stuff, it's pretty cool. I'm having fun with it. It has co-op as well. I haven't got a chance to try it yet. I would like to try that at some point. I know Chris is playing, so I just gotta harass him probably. I think Scream picked it up as well, but and then the other mobile game which just came out as of recording this basically is Monster Hunter. Is it now?
Yeah.
Which is made by Niantic. I think I'm saying that right. I'm sure you would know them from Pokemon Go. Except for now, instead of throwing Pokeballs at Pokemon, you walk up to monsters from Monster Hunter and you tap the screen and swipe to dodge, or to attack and swipe to dodge. So, enjoying it so far. Barely got a chance to play it, so it's kind of hard to have a deep opinion on it. But I'm impressed on how much it kind of feels like Monster Hunter for being such a simple to play game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty impressed because I was expecting like not a lot. So
Yeah. It's about what I've also just downloaded today and played it. I think I'm like a level 9, so not very far. But it's exactly what I expected in terms of what Niantic does walking around and finding things basically. The thing that's definitely better for me about it versus their other games is, first off, it's Monster Hunter, so the subject matter is much more interesting to me than Pokemon. I haven't been into Pokemon in a long time. Not saying anything negative about it. Of course, I like certain Pokemon, but I just don't play them anymore. But it's more involved as a video game, as opposed to in Pokemon Go, you just like find the Pokemon if they're rare or not, and then you capture them. I'm sure they added features since I played it when it first came out, so that was like fucking 2016 or some shit. I have no idea, but I know a couple people still play it though. They use it as an excuse to walk around, so I mean that's good. And and so that's not, it's neat, but not really for me. But this is kind of cool because you do have to still walk around to find certain things like nodes and I don't know what they're called, but that thing when we stopped at that gas station and you had to like tap the thing over and over again.
It has the what do they call that? The locations that you can click on to get resources, just like their other games. So.
But then, even though like the trash mobs you kill in like seconds, fighting actual monsters from Monster Hunter, and even though it's very simple, which I like because the game's designed to be held with one hand and play it with one hand, and it's vertical and stuff. Yeah, you swipe left or right, you dodge left or right, swipe forward or backward, you dodge backward or forward. A lot of times when the monster goes to attack me and I dodge them, I'll dodge forward to get on top of them again, start hitting them as fast as I can. I believe if you hold the attack button, you block.
Yep.
Or guard or whatever. So very simple, because this is going to be designed for casual gamers for the most part, people who are just going to want to play a walking game, but also it's trying to be appealing to people who play Monster Hunter. And I do think it in the very little time I've played it so far, it does feel like it's towing the line really well, because
I agree.
I think the gameplay is not deep, but it's involved enough for me to be interested in it. It's not something I'm going to be like, not looking at while doing it. I actually have to kind of pay attention, because you have to look for the tells. They flash red before they attack, but it has a perfect dodge, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I was trying to get that down, because I was like, oh, if I can get like perfect dodges, that's way cooler than just dodging early and waiting for them to attack. But yeah, the fighting aspect is way better than I thought it was going to be. I went to the options too, or the settings, and you can turn it on to 60 frames per second during combat. And so I turned that on.
By battery.
Yeah, but yeah, I turned that on because it looked much better. And apparently it's 4-player co-op. So I'm really curious to see how that works. Considering the game is basically you just stand in front of the monster and dodge in a circular pattern around them while they attack you.
Yeah, I wonder if you even see the other people or not.
I hope you do, but I don't know how they're going to do that. So,
it also, very importantly, has the crafting system that you would expect from Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But it also has the stats that you would associate with armor and stuff like that too. The difference is you have to level up the armor to unlock the stats instead of just getting them from making the gear. So there's a little bit of a grind factor there, but I think it's kind of important anyways for a mobile game to be a little more, especially if combat's like so quick, like you said, trash mobs you kill in like seconds.
Yeah, like 1.5 seconds.
You need a reason to have those materials. So
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I am curious to see where it goes, because I know even in the short time I played Pokemon Go, they went from just a very simple like flick to catch them to adding things like shinies, expanding the Pokédex, adding raids and gym battles and stuff like that. I could imagine them doing, raids with a lot of the bigger and more rare wyverns, and then also doing the variants and stuff like that you would see in the harder difficulties in the games and stuff like that too. So there's a lot they can do with it. There are a ton of monsters in Monster Hunter. So.
Oh yeah, they're not going to have an issue coming up with monsters, but content wise, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what else. I think the only one really of two games of note that I'm going to bring up is, as you mentioned, I beat a game over the last, because there's 2 weeks since we did one of these, and that would be Remnant 2. Finally sat down. I beat it. I am not done with the game, but I do have to pause what I'm doing in the game to play other games to get through them. I do want to play more though. That game has, similar to the first game, if you're not familiar, when you load into a world, you are basically thrown into like almost like a seed, where set pieces can be the same, but they might be in different places. They might be laid out a little bit different, and the story is going to vary a little bit every time you go through the playthrough. So, and then all those things will have their own unique loot as well. So there's a lot of replayability there. There's also a gem type system that you would see in like an ARPG. And those gems get better the higher the difficulty is. So there's a reason to continue playing and going up in difficulty to really maximize your stats. And I'd like to do that part, but I know if I start doing that, I won't play anything else.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of in this weird spot. Just some general thoughts on the game without spoiling anything, because you haven't beat it. The storytelling in this game is much better than the first game. It's also longer, which I appreciate a lot. And the final zone was different than I was expecting, and the last boss is a pain in the ass, and I'm not looking forward to fighting him again. But I will have to eventually. So, yeah. Then yeah, throw it out there. I guess I should grade it. I would honestly, I'd probably give it an A minus. The game is fantastic. So, I want to play it, but responsibly, I need to play other shit. So.
Yeah, even from what I've experienced so far, I'd probably give it A minus as well so far. So I don't expect it to get worse as I play it.
Yeah, there's still some bugs they need to iron out, but they're not consistent, so it's hard for me to knock it too much.
Yeah.
It does run better than most games, sadly, though not for Chris. Chris has a really weird issue with that game.
True.
And then Baldur's Gate 3. I'm playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and it's really easy to do because the game is freaking massive, man. I can't undersell how much I'm enjoying Baldur's Gate 3. The game is everything I love about old Western RPGs that I thought was gone. And it exists in this game, which is fantastic. I've kind of brought this up off the, not here on the channel, but, with friends and coworkers and stuff, that one of my favorite, Western RPGs was Mass Effect 2 and like Dragon Age Inquisition, the first one.
No, that's Inquisition's the third one.
Oh, Dragon Age. What's the first one?
Yeah, now you got me fucked up.
I can't remember the name. But anyways, the first one, the ones that
Origins.
Origins. I can't remember. Anyways,
something like that. It's not Inquisition though.
But it's been so long since those came out, and then a bunch of games have come out after that, and they just don't really scratch the itch the same way because they were too busy trying to like make them more casual friendly, make them more streamlined and simple to play, which is not why I fell in love with the games in the first place. I like the complexity and the length of time you spend in these worlds. Baldur's Gate 3 is literally that. So I'm having a blast with it. I've got 2 campaigns going, one solo, one multiplayer. I'm playing them completely different. I'm having completely different experiences. And I could just listen to people talk in the game forever. The voice acting is fantastic. And for a game with so much dialogue, there's a lot of facial animation happening too when they talk, which is not what I expect these days, sadly. And I'm glad I'm getting it. So, yeah, I'm sure if you've been on the internet, at all, you've heard someone talk about Baldur's Gate 3. The game is awesome. It is an RPG though, and it is turn-based. That's not going to be for everyone, but I would say you should try it.
It's weird to be in a year in gaming where a Zelda game came out and it got eclipsed. Doesn't happen. Like, I almost forgot that game came out because when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, like, no one's talking about Zelda anymore. It's really bizarre.
It is bizarre.
But somebody was telling me that Baldur's Gate 3 will for sure win Game of the Year this year, and as much as I kind of feel like that is a very likely scenario, I told them never discount
Nintendo.
Zelda.
Yeah.
If Zelda exists that year, there is a very good chance it'll win no matter what.
True.
Because there are people out there who only play Nintendo games that do not care about other games. And so those people met with Zelda being a legacy game that, everybody who's been playing games since, forever.
Well, those games are definitely made for everybody.
Everybody,
too.
Yeah, everybody. And everybody likes them. So there is a reason why they win. But it's to the point where it's like if Zelda exists that year, it likely will just win. But this year, I don't feel 100% on that. So, because Baldur's Gate 3 was kind of like across the board celebrated by everybody. I was like, oh, weird. We all agree on something. That's fucking odd.
Yeah.
Because even like Starfield is like a battle.
Yeah, though some of that is super annoying. But
sure.
As someone who's not a big Bethesda fan, when I see people in that camp and what they're saying, I'm like, God, you're being such a dork. But whatever. Like, it's fine. it's not really my battle to fight. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy because like you play the game and you can just kind of tell they gave a shit. Like it just comes across instantly. Like, and not even just that they gave a shit. Like there's like passion behind the game.
Yeah.
It's not even their IP. It's someone else's IP. They made someone else's intellectual property, and definitely like made it their own. And it doesn't stray too far from also where it comes from. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 it exists within the same like world and stuff. It's awesome. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've been saying since it came out that it has the quality of a AAA game, but the passion of an indie game.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it definitely, you can feel the excitement that the devs had when they're making it, and the respect they have for the people they expect to pay for it. But also, it just has like the quality and time put into it that you'd expect AAA to be putting into their games because they have the resources. And so, yeah, it's even though I've been hearing more and more lately that the third chapter, and I don't know anything about it, I'm not there, is the least developed of the three, which is disappointing to hear. But, and I'm not hearing a lot, but I am hearing it. But, if you're going to nail a part of the game or part of a game, the first like 2 chapters is probably a pretty good start to get invested in the game and not just start to go, oh, this game's buggy as fuck. But hopefully they can fix and patch wherever the problems in chapter 3 is.
Stuff. I actually heard someone talk about today that they had some issues in chapters 2 and 3, but it wasn't like when they looked it up, it wasn't like everyone was having the problem, though. It was common enough.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was cutscene based, so I mean, you could just go watch on YouTube. Obviously, that's not ideal. You want it to work in the game. I'm not excusing that, but yeah, it's tricky too because like obviously we all want games to come out and for them to not be buggy, but there is also if you play a game and you run into that kind of stuff, but your enjoyment has been so. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is a great example of that, right? People are just having a blast when they play it. Then when something stupid happens, like bug wise, they just kind of go, "Well, that was stupid," and they just keep playing, right? So
that's a conversation I've been having a lot lately ever since I beat Starfield, and I'll talk about that when it's my turn. But I ran into plenty of bugs, and I've seen a lot of people have bugs in Starfield.
It's pretty funny.
And I made a compilation that is on here on YouTube, but also over on TikTok of many, and I have more that I couldn't fit into the video. I have much more footage of AI issues. I posted that, and I had to let people know I enjoyed the game, but here's some issues, and a lot of people were instantly like, I think the game's really good. I'm like, I'm not attacking it. I'm just saying it has some issues, but I had to kind of add the caveat. I'm like, this for me is like kind of expected because Bethesda.
Sure.
So I expected some weird shit like this, but I find humor in the bugs in this game like I would in a Rockstar game.
I'll say how many people praise Red Dead, and like we've all seen flying horses.
All the Grand Theft Autos.
Yeah.
Like, it's not to make an excuse for some games having bugs and other ones, and one's worse than the other. But these, for me, when I was playing this game and when I play like a Rockstar game, these aren't game-breaking bugs. They're just like, you guys bit off more than you could chew bugs. Yeah. And they just make the experience kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, there is kind of a difference between that and like bugs that like, characters are stuck in walls nonstop and shit's broken and stuff like that. So,
and obviously, like, again, it sucks. But these big games are also not easy to make too. So
sure,
it's
that's why Baldur's Gate 3 was kind of
a nuanced thing. So
celebrated so much is because for how big it is and ambitious it is, for the most part, it was made very well. And
well, there's also just things that happen in the game that like no one else is doing. Like period.
Sure.
So when that random thing came out, person came out and was like, don't make this the standard or whatever that conversation was.
Yeah, stupid.
I understand to an extent. Like after playing, I'm like, yeah, no, they're doing something no one else is doing, but that doesn't necessarily. And I don't feel like this is the standard, but I look at that and go, I think people need to aim for this now.
Or at least be inspired by it. You don't have
Sure.
you don't have to do it.
Sure.
No one expects that. It's a dumb conversation. And the amount of times I heard people go like, "This isn't that big a deal." I'm like, "Yeah, you're 100% right. It's not a fucking big deal." And that guy should never brought this up. So I know.
Yeah, there's like different kinds of games for different, like not even just people, but different moods. Like sometimes I come home, I don't want to play a big complicated game. Sometimes I just want to like play, not actually, but sometimes I just want to play like Pong, right? Where I move paddle and hit ball.
I was sitting there right before vacation for like 2.5 weeks playing Dead by Daylight a lot.
Sure.
Just because
mindless games are good.
Simple. Well, there's some strategy going on, but yeah,
Sure.
it's mechanic wise, it's basic. Yeah.
You get into a flow, when you play a game like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
The repetition starts becoming muscle memory, but that's hugely different than investing time and trying to become immersed in something like Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like you can play Vampire Survivors. You just
I do.
You just
a lot
play it right.
When I'm just in a brain dead mood.
Yeah. Or like for me, Loop Hero was a big one for a long time. For that, I just wanted to watch YouTube and kind of play something. So, but then every once in a while you want to play a Baldur's Gate or a Starfield or something like that. So, anyways, that's what I've been playing. A lot of tangents there. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, mine should be quick. So I also played Monster Hunter Now. I already said what I thought of it, so I won't go into it too far. But if you are into Niantic games and you're into Monster Hunter, you should check it out. And
it's free.
Yeah, it's neat enough. I have played Generation Zero. Got past the beginning. I'm an expert on that game, so I have plenty to say on it already, but I will play it more. One thing I want to say real quick, though, that's not really going to go into my thoughts on the game itself, but curious enough, the sensitivity in that game we both experienced, and I'm no stranger to first-person shooters on console, but it's been a while since I played one, but I typically can bounce back pretty quick. The sensitivity in Generation Zero on PS5 was fucking insane.
Yeah.
As soon as I started default, I barely moved the stick, and I'm like almost turn around, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, it's wild.
I had to turn it down the just normal aim down to I think 3 out of 10, and I had to turn ADS aim down sight to I think 1 or 2 out of 10.
I think I have them both at. No, I have them both at 2. I think
I had to significantly turn them down, so that was crazy. But outside of that, it's pretty much the same experience I had on PC so far.
Yeah,
so
I thought I was just like bad, and then you said that you had to do the same. I was like, okay.
No, it was.
Anymore.
I don't even know how the hell they even. I don't know who made that decision to make that default, because that's like fucking
it's crazy.
That's like there's people who play Call of Duty with like the sensitivity maxed down controller, and that's like a special breed of people that play like that. And the people who made Generation Zero decided everybody was that person.
That's
apparently,
yeah,
it's fucking weird. So yeah, been playing that. Played Saints Row. Did not go into the character creation a whole lot because I've already played this on PC. So just kind of hopped into the game, trying to get into it to the point where I could play co-op with somebody, because that's my big curiosity. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I played Saints Row when it came out and had a lot of issues with the online co-op, so I would like to check that out and see if it's different on console or if they've patched that. And then I've also played Black Desert. I'm doing myself a disservice and not reading the walls and walls of text that keeps throwing at me as much as I probably should, but I'm getting it. I'm getting the game so far, so we'll see and we'll talk about it. But I already told you guys I'm playing the Corsair because there's like 50 new classes since the last time I played the game. So
it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I was going through. I was like, what do I play?
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds interesting. That's not. I was like, they all sound interesting. So I'm just gonna pick one. And so yeah, let me know in the comments if you're playing Black Desert, if you have played Black Desert, what you play, and what you would recommend a new player play possibly. Have not played Final Fantasy 14 yet because I haven't had time to play that yet, but this weekend I will be putting time into that because that is our game of the month. And yeah, apparently I haven't played in 3.5 years. I did not know it's been that long.
Well, I've known. I
don't pay attention, but apparently people who play that game do. So yeah, I'll I'll be hopping back into that. So games I can talk about. Well, game I can talk about. I played Starfield. I got back on Friday, and I started feeling kind of sick. So I was like, I'm just gonna chill. Just got back. Blah blah blah. Saturday, I'm like, I'm gonna try out Starfield. So I got it on Game Pass just to try it out, and in one sitting, I think I played it for like 13 hours straight. And then, yeah. And then I went to sleep, woke up, went straight back to it, and played it till I beat it. So, which is weird because
you just beat an RPG in 2 days. That's kind of crazy.
Well, and people like on TikTok are like, "You beat it in 24 hours? Like you beat it in like one day?" I'm like, "I guess." And so people are like, "How'd you beat it that quick?" I'm like, "I just played it. I don't know."
Pulled the trigger and things died.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so before I go into my impressions of it, because I have beaten the game, so I guess I could review it. I guess like I can grade it, even though there's so much content to this game that like it's hard for me to think that I've experienced it enough to be able to do that. But I beat the campaign. Everybody was telling me that, including like publications, were all like, the game doesn't start until you beat the campaign, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, that almost sounds like bad game design. Like I have to beat the game to get, whatever features that are not accessible. There are some things that become accessible as you keep playing the game, and get expanded on as you play through it. So I kind of get where people are coming from, and I'm not going to spoil anything because this game hasn't been out that long. But there's stuff that happens after you beat the game that I do think is kind of clever. If you've beaten the game, you know what I'm talking about. The way any open world game allows you to continue is always a really interesting thing to me, depending on how the story will go. And the way that Bethesda decided to do this was not expected by anybody, in my opinion. So I did think it was kind of clever the way they did it. Although, without spoiling anything as well, I think I keep hearing people talking about how after you beat it one time, you can like beat the game in an hour the second time and the third time and the fourth time. So I haven't looked into that. I haven't done that myself, but people say it's like very easy to beat the game over and over and over again, very fast, which I think is really weird. So yeah, I beeline the storyline because everybody told me to do that. And that took me around 20 hours, I think. But overall, I liked it, which is good to say. Anytime I talk about Bethesda games, I have to kind of add the caveat that my favorite Bethesda game still is Morrowind. I like Oblivion. I like Fallout 3. I thought Skyrim was fine. I'm not a fan of Fallout 4, even though more and more I hear people love Fallout 4. Fallout 76 is now fun enough, but not great. But I do expect samey, similar engine feeling and buggy experiences from Bethesda that don't live up to what they say they will be. And so going into Starfield, mainly because I thought the space stuff looked really interesting and different. It pretty much still feels like a Bethesda game, but this is the best Bethesda game for me personally since about Oblivion and Fallout 3. I like it, and this is going to be fucking blasphemy for some people, but I'm not the biggest Skyrim guy. I like it more than Skyrim. But I'm also like a sci-fi dude. So like I prefer sci-fi over fantasy any day. So this spoke to me a little bit in a way that a fantasy game can't.
I also heard ladders work in this game.
Yeah, you can go up ladders.
Crazy.
Okay, so when I first started playing the game, I walked under my ship, and like there's a ladder. I'm like, do I teleport or can I use the ladder? I look up, and it's like, oh, hit the button to go in your ship. I'm like, okay, and like I do it. I'm like, it's Bethesda. And then like 5 minutes later, it's like, go up this ladder. I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? You're doing both? So yeah. Okay, so things I like about the game. The style's dope. I really like the visual style of the game. Bar barring the NPCs. The way they look is very Bethesda. But the clothing style, the armor style, the ship style, the world, everything's really fucking cool looking. Whoever was in charge of the style did a good job. Also, I saw somebody on Twitter say this, and I 100% agree. It was Cliff Blazinski. Cliffy B. He said he was like super into the gun design. He wanted to know who the hell designed the guns. I agree. I think the guns are fucking sick looking. And they feel pretty good. Like when they first showed Starfield, I was like, the gunplay looks like shit. It reminds me of like how like Fallout is more of an RPG than a shooter. So when you play as a shooter, it doesn't feel that great.
Or like Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And so from early on, watching the combat, I was like, yeah, it doesn't look that great. I think the guns feel punchy. I think they feel powerful. I think they have good sound effects. They really, really did a good job cleaning that up, which is awesome. And my problems with the AI aside, they do feel impactful, which is fucking great save, because that early footage we saw of Starfield looked like shit when it came to bullet impacts. When he shot people, they stood there, and then eventually they just kind of slump over. We truly did see early gameplay there, because now the slow reacting AI will turn and look at you while you're shooting them, and then they'll stumble and they'll get knocked back by the bullets or whatever, and they'll try and fire back at you. And then when you kill them, they actually have some like force to the body that will like throw them into stuff, and it feels good. So good job, Bethesda, because you made, even though this is an RPG, you made a more than competent shooter, and so I appreciated that. So game looks cool, style's cool. The graphics are confusing in this game. This game is fucking gorgeous sometimes, and then it's like really ugly sometimes.
I've heard this, yeah.
Everybody's been saying it, and then I played it, and I saw it in the trailers too. But I played it, I'm like, what the fuck is this, man? I'll look at like metal that's textured really well, and like scenes that are like gorgeous looking, and like environments that look great, and then like I forgot the name of the main place, but New Atlantis or what the fuck's called. And like the trees look like shit. You like look at the foliage on them, I'm like, what the hell is that? And then like everybody's seen the memes of like the NPCs just like
doing Bethesda things, yeah.
Just it's so funny to me, especially the one where the girl's just talking and then behind her someone's just staring right at you. You just really weird it's inconsistent, but at least the style is good. So even when the graphics aren't the best looking, the world's still really cool looking. So but not to discredit it for when it does look bad, because when it looks good, it looks like really good, and the animations are the best I've ever seen in a Bethesda game. They still kind of feel like Creation Engine, whatever the hell it's called, but they're much more advanced. This feels like they put, like, Skyrim always kind of felt like a more HD, more refined Oblivion to me. And then, Fallout 4 felt like fucking Fallout 3, but, same. And then 76 just kind of like whatever the hell it was. This feels like a proper, if they're going to keep using the same engine, it feels like a fucking proper step forward with it, to the point where I didn't feel like it has so much of Bethesda's qualities in it, but it doesn't feel like it's just a reskinned Skyrim or a reskinned Fallout. Mm-hmm. Even though I see some people making that claim, I don't agree with it. I think they're mistaking the things that Bethesda is super attached to in their games, as opposed to when I play Fallout 4, I feel like I'm playing Fallout 3 that's open world and it feels like, has a building mod attached to it that I paid for. This doesn't feel like that. So that's cool. The ship combat is super simple compared to a sim, and that's 100% fine, because I don't want to play a sim when I'm playing this game. A lot of times the way I was playing my character, I wasn't really trying to like get into the space combat with that character that much. Later I'll upgrade things for that, but I never felt like I was being held back because I wasn't like an expert pilot with like all my shit, all my perks leveled up for that, because I was putting a lot of perks into combat stuff on the ground. And so there's room for you to improve on that, but you're not held back by what choice you make. So that's nice. But but it's pretty intuitive. It's simple, but piloting actually feels like really good and smooth. But it's again very simple. Combat is simple, but impressive for Bethesda because I don't have a frame of reference for Bethesda making space combat. So this is a new thing,
right?
And it works. It's fine. If I had any, the story's okay. I know some people really liked it. I hear people say that they fucking think it's boring. I don't think it's boring, but I do think it's.
I've heard both too. Yeah.
I think the end part makes it a little more intriguing, but getting there was like kind of a slog. It felt kind of like a platform to get you into space and explore. But by the end, it felt like there's a little more stakes involved and some choices to be made. So I don't love it, but I don't think it's bad either. Characters I thought were pretty fucking mad though. Like people are saying they love like Sam Coe and all these other characters, and I'm like, another fucking cowboy in a Bethesda game, dude. Like, and they're all kind of samey in my opinion. I feel like they're all just Steve from Blue's Clues. They all just kind of talk to you like they're trying to fucking teach a kid something. Like they all just have like the same, they're all dressed differently, but they all like have the same fucking mannerisms and just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm watching a kid's show and I'm listening to them talk, but they're not bad. They're just not like great. But yeah, so story's okay, but gets better, and characters are fine. They're just kind of filler. What was I going to say? Oh, my biggest complaint about the game is it is a fucking load fest. It is a fast travel fest. And it's not even that big of a deal outside of it. It distracts from the flow. Like I'm being really nice about it. There's a lot of people out there who like fucking hate it and complain about it and say it's like bullshit. I get where they're coming from. And a lot of people overlook it, and that's fine as well. But it is really weird that every time you go anywhere, there is so much fast traveling involved. Especially in a game that's based off of exploration. It's interesting that either the limitations of the engine forced them to go this way, or they thought creatively it was a good idea to incentivize you to, when you're leaving Constellation, fast travel back to your ship. And then when you get back to your ship from fast traveling, you look at a door to teleport in your ship, and you decide from there if you want to teleport in your ship and walk to your seat or teleport to your seat. And then from there, press a button to go into space, which is a third loading screen. And then from that point in space, you're going to look in either direction or look at your star map and decide where you're going, and then teleport there. That's 4 load screens. And then if you got to go to a second system and a third system, or maybe you got 7 fucking systems you got to go to, each one of those is a loading screen unless you got a ship that can jump further. It is Fallout New Vegas when you get to New Vegas on crack. Because I remember when I first played that game, you got to load into New Vegas, and then we go to the next section, you got to go into the next part you have to load into. It's a very Bethesda thing, but this game makes you do it.
Bethesda, yeah.
Sure, but they did it before that too. It's the engine, because yeah, that was Obsidian. But yeah, before that, it's like you look up, you have to load from the floor because you can't use the ladder. Or there's just a lot of loading involved in a lot of their older games, and this game also has that. Load times are good, I'll give them that, but it stutters the flow of this feeling of exploration that feels it feels very compartmentalized, the whole game. It's like, it's supposed to be this big grand explore space thing, and it's like every time you jump into a new section of a system outside of a planet, you feel like you're just in a big box, and then events happen there, but it wasn't a big deal. It's just like, if I had a big complaint about the game, it would be that. And also, as much as I found the AI to be funny, hopefully you guys had a chance to watch my video of some of the weird stuff that I had so many people tell me they haven't experienced that, and I'm just like, I guarantee if I played your game, I would experience that. I wish the AI was a little more advanced, because it's very simple, but still fun. I still really enjoyed shooting people in the game. but they do a lot of like vacant running in different directions to get away from getting shot, or standing there just unloading at you while you unload into them, and they'll get staggered if you shoot them enough. So like after a while, they're not shooting back at you. So it definitely was beneficial for me to just unload into people as fast as possible, because once they start getting staggered, they were just going to die. So I'm going to be as vague as possible here. One of the last, if not the last, something that you fight sometime in the campaign, I threw a frost mine on the ground, froze him, and he laid down, and I threw another frost mine on the ground, froze him, and he was just laying there, and I just beat him to death with a shotgun. So I was like, that, as satisfying as that was for me to do, I was like, I feel like that's not very climactic. Like, I don't think that was, and that was in part because the AI was just kind of like, he was just looking at me, and I'd run at him, he'd just stare at me, and he'd shoot me every once in a while. I'm like, and so I just threw a thing at him to experiment, and it benefited me. So and then of course people, when I talked about that and showed people that video, people were like, oh, what difficulty did you play on? Because for some reason they're assuming I'm playing on fucking the easiest setting. That was on normal, and I also tried on hard to check, and neither were different. So they were the exact same when it came to the AI acting that way. So anyway, load times, not great, but not a game breaker or deal breaker. And then the AI, as much as I think it's funny, could be improved, and hopefully they will they could easily patch that. That's something they could fix through a patch easily. But yeah, overall, the campaign and some of the exploration I did, and some of the side quests and stuff, which I haven't done as much as a lot of people. I hear the side quests is like really the bread and butter, which I kind of think is a lot of Bethesda games. When you start doing like guild missions, stuff like that, like that is where it gets really interesting in a lot of their games. But from what I've experienced so far, has been a lot of fun. And I think my favorite part about Starfield, outside of just the shooting, the leveling, and the exploration, because there's a lot of gear and weapons to find and upgrades. I think, oh God, I missed what I was going to say there. Oh no. What was I going to say? Oh my God, it's just fucking gone. Anyway,
Welcome to aging.
Well, I'm kind of like fuzzy brained right now anyway, because of my fucking congestion going on. But yeah, I've been enjoying the game, and I've been enjoying the combat, the exploration, and the variety. Even though I know a lot of people have kind of complained about some of the planets just being barren or whatever. There's typically things happening on every planet, so it's not like you're just there by yourself. But yeah, the game's cool. And the campaign was decent, and a lot of the extra stuff I've done has been fun. Game of the year, I don't think so. But as a person who's not been big on Bethesda games in a while, it's nice to have played one and want to continue playing it after beating it, because I beat Skyrim back when it came out, and it took me like years to come back to it, because I was just so like, okay, that was it. All right, bye.
Ooh, I tried once, and yeah, I was like, I already beat this.
Apparently mods do, and especially now, do a lot for that game.
I don't buy games to mod them.
So. I typically don't either. I will. I'm not opposed to it, but
sure.
But that's not a huge selling point for me on games typically.
Same.
But that's become a thing with Bethesda games now, is the modding aspect, which is both cool for the modding community and people like that, but also kind of weird. So, yeah. So if I had to grade Starfield and its campaign, man, I want to give it an A- kind of, but the story wasn't strong enough for me, and the characters weren't strong enough for me. But the gameplay was fun, even with its bugs. So I'm gonna give it a really, really strong B+, almost A-. I don't think I can give it A- though. Because like I didn't love it, but I also haven't played it as much as a lot of people. So maybe my grade will change. Maybe you're hearing that and you're like, "What the fuck, dude? It should be an A." Give me some time. I'll play it some more. But campaign wise, it was cool, and that's huge kind of for me, man. Because fucking, I can't remember the last time I played a Bethesda game. I was like, cool. So, I think you should definitely check it out. I'd like to.
That's on my list.
I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Need to play Baldur's Gate, and then next is Armored Core. So it's going to be after that.
Yeah, my game plan now that I have all these games lined up, and the next big one is Alan Wake 2 that I have to play. Luckily, Stalker 2 got pushed back to January, so that's not a this year thing, but still coming up soon. Because I can't wait to play that. Those are like my last two big games. But Starfield was one of them, and now I've beaten it. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to focus on Remnant 2, because that one's almost done. I've had that game almost beaten for fucking ever.
Should probably finish 16.
16, but it's not. I need to beat 16, but Baldur's Gate 3 is a bigger priority for me now. And then Armored Core. I think, on Chapter 3. I think there's 5 chapters. So I need to beat that. So, yeah, we'll get there. Too many games, but we're finally coming to a point where there's light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right.
Starfield. It's pretty good. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what games have you guys been playing, what games are you planning on playing, what games would you recommend us play, and then of course let us know what you think of Starfield. Please no spoilers. Let's kind of respect people who are still playing right now. That's one thing that's been kind of rough for me talking about is because it's an open game that everybody's playing differently. When I say I've beaten the campaign, some people are like, I haven't even touched the campaign yet, and so I don't even want to talk about campaign with people because I don't know what the fuck you've been doing, but yeah, let me know what you think of Starfield. Let me know what you think of it in detail. What you think about my review. What you think about whatever the fuck I was trying to allude to when I forgot what the hell I was even talking about. Holy shit, that was bad. Yeah, let me know what you think about in the comments below when it comes to anything that's on your fucking mind. Okay, so we got 3 videos to watch. One of them is a little bit of backtracking, but I still haven't watched this, and I've been wanting to watch it since it came out. This is the Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 extended gameplay trailer. It's 9 minutes, and this is just going to show straight up gameplay. This is, I said Alan Wake 2's one of the only games this year that I'm hyped for. It's not true. This game has slowly become a game I'm really hyped to play as well. I don't know if I put on the same levels Alan Wake 2 because that's like a long time coming, big hype game. But this is looking really good. So this came out like 2 weeks ago. Been meaning to watch it. Gonna watch it. We'll talk about it. Do you have any anticipation, hype, or interest in the cooperative Space Marine 2?
No.
No? All right. I'm very excited. Saber's making this. Saber makes fucking fun games, and slowly but surely, I'm becoming a Warhammer fan through the video games. So with that, let's watch this in 3, 2, 1, and go. Dude, I fucking feel lightheaded from all this congestion. It's stupid. This gameplay? Development footage.
Unfortunately, right eye's a little blurry, so I couldn't read it.
This looks fucking great.
Stink. Hold your nose, lad. Bastards can poison you with a stench alone. Oh, Emperor's teeth.
Damocles, we are inserting into the jamming radius now. Understood. Damocles out.
I think this,
It's got some like Mega Man legs going on.
True. This is like the highest quality Warhammer game I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, because they come out in like the biggest variety of quality ever for any series
You need not concern
when it comes to their
yourself with
games.
me, Lieutenant. Disappear like that again, and you'll be facing the Master of the Watch. I understand.
Sir, why did you not tell us of your penance earlier?
It was not your business.
And now it is.
You have made it so, through suspicion and intrigue.
It's cool to see in third person the fucking scale of everything, because a lot of these games are like strategy games, and so from a distance you're seeing everything's crazy and big, and you know, cathedrals in space and shit, but to see it from this perspective is fucking Dope.
The fact that that Master Chief here is like twice the size of everyone else.
These guys kill fucking like armies of people.
Yeah.
Or monsters. I always think back to Inquisitor Martyr when you find a dead space marine and they're like, what the fuck killed him? Like they're just like kind of blown away.
Frag grenade out!
Definitely the people who made World War Z. Oh, I just noticed all the blood all over the place on your character.
A lot of animations, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, the quality of this is like top notch. It's great looking. Okay, this game already looks sick, but I'm so excited it's gonna have co-op. He's just ready to catch that guy.
Just spamming the button.
Dude, the blood everywhere is fucking wild. I'd be curious to see what these executions look like on other types of enemies as well, unless it's only these that you're fighting, because they're already pretty like diverse for these like weird xenomorph style monsters.
Yeah.
So if you fight like humanoid type things, I wonder if they put the effort into making specific, unique executions for them as well, because that'd be impressive.
The spores collapsed the bridge. There's no way through. I may have an alternate route. Proceed. Transmitting to all specs now. We'll need to clear this debris.
I like how the individual pieces of everything are moving on his armor.
Ain't wait, nothing.
This guy's basically just an outrider. Because that guy's just walking around picking up logs and chucking them.
Yeah. That's true.
That's right, I said it, dude. Warhammer ripped off outriders. It's funny because I played the original Space Marine back before I had any interest in Warhammer at all, and I thought it just kind of felt like a generic shooter. Maybe it'd be different now if I played it, but this is like such a huge improvement on. I mean, it's been a long time. I think it was like 360 when that game came out, but just like the level of quality and detail they're putting into this just feels like a whole new fucking beast. Because the gameplay looks fucking dope, but also like the spectacle of it is like way more higher quality than I really was expecting.
Yeah.
wonder if you'll always have like NPC Space Marines with you unless you're playing co-op, or if that's just like this level.
Reloading weapon.
I'm not sure. Is it the same guy that's just been hanging out?
I don't know. There's a little bit of something about to be shown. It's time for the beta. This is 2 weeks ago. I'm probably too late. What do we think?
I think it is a nice looking game. There's definitely, a lot more going on than I was expecting, though I have not been following the game at all. I'm still not the biggest fan of the visual style, but that's just something I don't think I'm going to get over when it comes to it. That doesn't mean the game isn't going to be fun. That's just a preference thing, obviously. I think my biggest takeaway is the map they're basically on is like so massive, and like there's so much just going on like in the background while you're moving around. I think that's actually a really nice, pleasant surprise to see, because like you said, a lot of times with these games, your angle is more of just like a top down type of thing, or you're seeing a very like specific view, so like you don't have to like throw as much into it in that regard, versus like when you play a game in first person or close to first person, the details need to be there, or else they kind of should it's more noticeable when they're bad. And you could tell they definitely tried a lot. As far as like what I'm looking at, though, I don't know anything about Warhammer, so it just looks like a big dude fighting a bunch of xenomorphs to me, which is fine.
Sign me up.
That in itself could be fine, and with co-op, I do think obviously you can have that experience with your friends as well, which is generally a positive or a plus. But I don't think I'm interested, but it is good looking. So
yeah, the when you're talking about like how big and exaggerated things are, it reminded me of the first time I played the original Vermintide, not having a whole lot of knowledge of Warhammer. Seeing some of the map designs in that, kind of like, I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. Like these huge towers with like a giant moon behind it, like just like the visual style was so like huge and like big in scale, that I always think of that as like one of the early examples of when I started going like, okay, Warhammer's kind of interesting. Like everything's so big and massive and wild looking. And so this definitely carries that over as well, that sense of scale that they're doing. And that's one of the things that's really interesting about Warhammer games in general, is regardless of the quality of the games, you can tell the people who make the games are into Warhammer, because they all really are following to a T the major beats of what makes Warhammer in terms of like the way people talk, the way the world works, the way like things look and stuff like that. So it's been interesting to see everybody's interpretation of that be similar yet different in how much resources they can put into the game. But this game definitely seems like the highest quality experience I've seen from a Warhammer game, Before that, I would have probably said anything that what is it, Fat Shark that makes Vermintide, and Darktide. I need to go back and play that at some point. I always thought those were like the best looking ones, and this is definitely taking that from those. The game looks fucking dope to me, regardless of Warhammer or not. As a third-person shooter, I think it looks really fun. The shooting looks impactful. It looks like, things are getting like just wrecked when you're shooting them, and then like the melee combat looks way more improved than the original game, which it should be, but it's good to see that it is. I really like how seamless the executions and like grabbing them by the tail and hitting them it looks fucking awesome. That's crazy looking. The blood effects are really wild as well. I'll be curious to see what progression possibly looks like in this game. I don't know if it's just gonna be like a straight up just shooter, or if there's gonna be stuff you unlock as you play. I hope that's the case. I haven't looked into that. I would assume in modern gaming it will have some kind of progression, but there are games that still don't have stuff like that, and that's fine as well. But in a game that's gonna be co-op and you're gonna be playing through with your friends, it'd be cool to see. It doesn't have to be different builds per se. It doesn't have to be like Remnant 2. Or in Destiny or something where people are making different characters. But it would be cool to see, my guy's different than your guy, and maybe a reason to keep playing the game after you beat it outside of how fun the game was. But I don't know anything about that. But yeah, I'm like really impressed with everything I'm seeing here. This game is above and beyond what I expected from it, and I was already interested before, but now I'm even more interested. It's definitely going to be a day one buy for me, and I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to play it co-op, because that's going to be a lot of fun, especially with how big the spectacle of the environments is, but also the amount of enemies coming at you. I'm a huge fan of the World War Z game that these guys also made, and that game is made for co-op, obviously, but it's a lot of fun with your friends, having these swarms come at you, and this game is definitely having a similar vibe to it in terms of enemies coming at you. I will be curious to see what kind of variety of enemies we're going to get in this game, though, because I don't know much about the story and what's going to take place and who you're going to be fighting, but what I'm seeing here looks fucking awesome. I can't wait to play it. So, anything else? All right, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 extended gameplay trailer. What stood out to you? Are you excited to play this? Are you not excited to play this? What do you think about Warhammer in general? And do you like the fantasy Warhammer, or do you like the sci-fi Warhammer more? And what are you hoping to see from this game feature-wise? Let me know what you think about in the comments below when it comes to Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. All right, next video we got is Assassin's Creed Mirage. First hands-on preview. This is only like 5 minutes long, but we're going to watch it because this is a game that I'm kind of interested in, but also kind of like, it looks like another Assassin's Creed in the desert, which we've gotten plenty of. The thing that makes this game interesting, of course, is that they are pulling back from the RPG Assassin's Creeds that I thought they've been doing a good job on, and trying to take it back to the more, story, stealthy, original style of Assassin's Creed. So I'm curious to see if they're doing that, and they tell us they are. Ubisoft constantly, when they're showing us the trailers, they're telling us they're doing that, but it'll be interesting to hear somebody who's actually playing it and what they have to say on it. So thoughts on Mirage and all that stuff before we watch this?
I mean, I'm not really the target demographic here for this. I played the first 2 Assassin's Creeds, and then the French one a little bit.
Unity.
But that's it. I don't love the games, and honestly, the genre that it's kind of falling into, it's not really my first choice of game style anyway. So, I tend to play more like role-playing games and stuff like that. So,
well, they got those too. Assassin's Creed is everything, apparently.
Sure, though I have heard that those are basically just multi-100-hour time sinks, and I don't have that kind of time. So,
time-wise, I didn't beat them, but the 2 I did play were like fun, and while I was playing them, I was like, these are pretty legit, like open world RPGs. But there is, because it's Ubisoft, a lot of pointless fluff to interact with. So,
yeah. And I mean, I'm not against them, making these games, obviously, if they are selling them to people, who am I? But I would be curious to see if they can get my attention again, because I did, technically, I don't know what it was called back in the day now, on the original Xbox, when you get every trophy, but to use PlayStation terms, I platinumed the first, Assassin's Creed when that came out. So
what do they call that on Xbox?
I don't know. I haven't had an Xbox in a long time because I have a PC.
Yeah. So. True. All right, let's watch this. 3, 2, 1, go.
With the past few games in the series, it's felt like Assassin's Creed has lost a little bit of what made it so special back when it launched in the late 2000s. Now, don't get me wrong, Odyssey and Valhalla were extremely solid RPGs that offered a vast and unique setting and a definite bang for your buck in the runtime department. But there's something about those games that didn't necessarily feel Assassin's Creed due to their hefty open world settings and heavy RPG gameplay mechanics. Thankfully, the next installment in the franchise is Mirage, and based on my playtime with it so far, it manages to capture what made the series so special and brings the social stealth history simulator back to its roots in the best way possible. Gone are the vast vistas of England, the oceanic traversal of Greece, and pyramid scaling of Egypt in favor of a dense and populated Baghdad full of life and vibrancy. That's not to say Mirage ever felt small, but from the few hours I played, I regularly found myself exploring and getting lost in the latest Creed's hyper-detailed and fully realized big city playground. The city of Baghdad is, as it should be in an AC game, its own character this time around. From its dangerous and often crowded city streets to its dense bazaar and connected rooftops, it was never a chore getting from point A to point B.
Rude.
Due to Mirage's revamped notoriety system, it's not as easy to run through a group of guards undetected this time around.
It's interesting
The more trouble
because
you cause, the more enemies Mirage throws.
I just feel like I threw a table.
this
and
is just
overpowered
very
guards. Civilians will react to your presence and point you out in a crowd if you're not blending in, because, everyone's a snitch. And guards will notify each other while giving chase and doing everything in their power to stop you. Bribery and vandalism were the easiest ways to lower my notoriety meter. And moving between the high ground and city streets helped me lose packs of enemies that were surprisingly difficult to fight in groups of more than 2. In short, getting chased by guards in Assassin's Creed Mirage felt more like a fun challenge than an annoyance, and in some ways, helped bring back that classic Creed feel to the series.
Classic Creed.
Meanwhile, combat in Mirage
like
feels as
arms wide
tight
open.
and as fun as it has in the series of late. The general combat mechanics from Odyssey and Valhalla are here, though enemy levels and damage numbers have been removed in favor of health bars, countering, and dodge rolls. While this may look like a step back into the older game's often easy and
definitely
simple
feels
combat
like it.
style, Assassin's Creed Mirage's fights felt significantly more challenging and reactive this time around. And if I didn't try to single out my enemies, I found myself quickly becoming overwhelmed by groups of as little as 3 guards. While dodging and properly timed counterattacks can lead to some pretty sweet kills, it's nowhere as easy of an experience as it was in some of the older entries.
Okay.
And for the first time in a long time, I found the combat in an Assassin's Creed game not only challenging, but also fun.
I remember for a while there, Assassin's Creed kind of turned into
where
a
Assassin's Creed Mirage
parry
truly
fucking-
shines. Moving around the shadows and hiding in plain
parry,
sight feels
insta-kill,
more
parry,
rewarding
insta-kill.
and engaging
Yeah.
this time around. And
Which
I
the animations were
found myself
fantastic,
trying to
but,
stay
like,
as hidden as
gameplay-wise,
possible
it kinda
as often
became,
as I
like,
could, even if it was
monotonous.
in a busy street among crowds or hidden in the shadows. For the first time in a long time, Assassin's Creed feels like a proper stealth adventure again, similar to the series' early days.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. Just because who's making stealth games nowadays?
To put it
Not a whole
bluntly,
lot.
Assassin's Creed Mirage seems set to bring the series back to its roots in the best way possible. The story and gameplay feel more like what made Assassin's Creed so popular in the first place, and it feels like the series has finally realized what was promised back in 2007. While some may not be too happy with the scaled-back RPG elements, Mirage's focused setting, intuitive controls, and fun stealth gameplay has me excited to dive back into the franchise. For more on this fall's biggest upcoming games, check out our
long as it
hands-on
has, like,
preview of
proper
Super Mario
stealth
Bros. Wonder
mechanics
and
and,
Forza
like,
Motorsport.
it feels
And for
different.
everything else in
Fucking,
the world of video
it's cool
games,
that they're
stick with IGN.
if they want to do both. I mean, if they have the time and resources for that, more power to them. But
What else are they making anymore?
it's fucking true, dude. What do we think?
I almost feel like watching it is not doing it that much justice.
Yeah, I agree. I'm intrigued by what I hear about it, but looking at it, it looks like classic Assassin's Creed. But I feel like I need to feel how the game plays to even see if that matters to me or not.
No, for sure. That was what I was kind of thinking the whole time. I was like, this is like so familiar feeling. But then he's like kind of talking about how the combat is more fun and you can't just take on the entire city at once and all that stuff. And those are good things because, like you said, you kind of get into a flow, and the old games became super easy once you just kind of understood combat.
When even the RPG ones, it was all level based. So you see guys who are like, properly your level, you just go take them out. And it didn't have the same kind of like cinematic charm to the combat as the older Assassin's Creed had. It was a little more involved, but it was just mostly just lock on and walk around and hit them when you needed to. And it also kind of became monotonous after a while. So,
well, I will say from this video though is visually the game looks okay.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of blown away. It doesn't look bad, but like it also doesn't look like amazing. I don't know.
Like there's a few times where like we had kind of close-ups of assassinations happening, and when the blade was removed from the body, the blood splurts look kind of weird.
Yeah.
These are nitpicks, obviously. That doesn't affect the fun of a game, but that's what we're here for, is to look at the videos and have opinions on them. So
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I think I just kind of have to wait for this to come out and see what people are saying after they get their hands on it. I can only take so much from an IGN video because of who they are. So
yeah.
Man, that guy just was on it, ready to stab you right in the side, and you just keep running.
The two things that are interesting to me, though, is like some of the animations in combat. Maybe I'm just like looking at the past and, in a nostalgic way, but I remember like the executions and the combat having like really impressive, like mocapped animations happening. And this feels a little more just like a third-person action game, which is like almost like they're inspired by fucking, I hate to say it, Dark Souls or something, but
It might be.
or any lock-on based combat game, of course, Zelda and stuff like that. But it doesn't have that same kind, like he's just swinging at somebody who's blocking nonstop. It doesn't have the same kind of flow as like the older Assassin's Creed games. It definitely feels more like the newer RPG ones, which is fine as long as it feels good and it's fun to play. I won't care, but it doesn't, for a game that's like so reliant on trying to feel like the older games. If it looks like it feels like the older games in a way that's not advancing and evolving that older format in a modern way, it just feels like it is an older game. In which hopefully this has something to offer that is more than, why the hell did I just go play Black Flag again? Why would I play this if it's so much like the older ones? So that's one thing. I've also seen a lot of people make videos that compare the parkour to this to the older ones, and it's less complex in this, which is also kind of fucking weird to me because it's a newer game. I feel like that system you would only... like if you go back to like Unity and watch how you traverse the side of a building and the way you're spinning and grabbing every single thing, we're not really seeing that here anymore.
It's less acrobatic, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it's still impressive when you go back and look at it, just how every individual part of the building your dude's like grabbing as he climbs. It's fucking crazy. That engine was really insane. And I feel like we're not seeing that as much here, but we're also not seeing a lot of parkour here. So, But yeah, so there's a couple things there that I'm just like curious about. I want to hear what people have to say when the game comes out. I also would like to just get my hands on and see how it feels. But the big thing I'm curious about, and the thing that he was talking about that makes me interested in this game, is the stealth aspect, because Ubisoft used to make really great stealth games, and God, what the last Ghost Recon, I forgot the fuck, Breakpoint. That game's got some issues, but like the stealth stuff was kind of fun. So Ubisoft can still kind of do stealth, even though they refuse to make a fucking Splinter Cell. And so the idea of this being a decent stealth Assassin's Creed is definitely interesting to me, because I fucking love stealth games. So, and Splinter Cell doesn't exist anymore. Metal Gear Solid doesn't exist anymore. So if somebody can make a just solid AAA stealth game, I would be happy. And if this game is that, it would be a reason for me to want to pick it up. So yeah, overall though, it's looking fine.
Yeah,
I can't say I'm hyped for it, but I also can't say I'm not interested. I'm just gonna wait and see what people have to say about it.
Yeah, and
hopefully it's good.
Visually, it's hard for me to get excited about deserts. Like, it's just
Same.
such a boring setting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But we live in the PNW where everything's
trees. Yeah.
trees and huge mountains and rivers and fucking rainforest and shit. So seeing just sand and stuff isn't very exciting for me. So although what they did in some of the Assassin's Creeds, like Origins and stuff, and Odyssey, they did make some areas look really cool. So we'll see. Anything else? Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Assassin's Creed Mirage. First, hands-on preview. What's sounding cool to you? What looks cool to you? Do you have any concerns? And what's your anticipation of this game? Are you excited? Not excited? And if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, what direction are you most excited for? Do you want to maintain the RPG stuff, or do you want to get back to where the series started? And does this look like that to you? Let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below. Last video we're watching is Alan Wake 2. I'm going to pause this. Alan Wake 2 exclusive hands-on preview. This is almost 9-minute video on Alan Wake 2, a game that I'm very excited about. Honestly, I don't need to see more on it because I was going to buy it as soon as they announced it. But I'm curious about it because we are starting to see a little bit more of the Alan Wake gameplay lately, and that's what I'm trying to see more of. I'm also just trying to see more gameplay in general, because a lot of stuff they show is like very kind of set up little clips. I like to see some just raw gameplay, so I'm hoping to see that here. But in terms of if this is going to get me excited or not enough to buy the game, it's not. I'm already as hyped as you're going to get to buy this game. So I don't think, unless they show me something that's going to freak me out, but I just don't see that from Remedy. So yeah, really excited to watch this. You probably won't play this.
I know.
So
This is definitely for you.
But I think you typically can appreciate
Sure.
visually what Remedy does. So, yeah. So this is Alan Wake 2 exclusive hands-on preview in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Deliciously pulpy horror storytelling was at the heart of the original Alan Wake. It returns for the sequel too, but the Stephen Kingisms look to be confined to the dark place, the New York-styled nightmare cage the titular writer is trapped in. Out in the real world, or at least what seems like the real world, the domain of our second protagonist, FBI agent Saga Anderson, developer Remedy Entertainment has crafted a new collage from pieces of its favourite detective stories. The eerie shadows of True Detective, Seven, and The Silence of the Lambs creep through Alan Wake 2's gorgeous digital depiction of the Pacific Northwest.
The thing I love about Remedy games is
This
since
month's IGN
Max
First,
Payne,
I visited
it's just
Remedy's
been this
studio in
trajectory of
Finland to play
evolution
Alan Wake
that
2.
every game
Across
just
more
gets
than
like
an
better
hour
and
of
better
play,
at what they do.
I experienced the entirety of Local Girl, the third chapter of Saga's story. Within it, I saw plenty of things that will make long-term Alan Wake devotees happy. Manuscripts still litter the world, as do blue thermos flasks. There are generators to power up, and your shadow-burning flashlight is still a fundamental part of combat. A pair of aging rock stars make a very welcome return.
Odin are not here.
I was wondering about characters from the last game and who's going to come back. Some people
But the
I don't want
shift
them to
from
spoil,
nightmare
but
horror to grisly
curious about.
detective thriller on Saga's side of the story is the first sign of the bold, sweeping changes that Remedy has made in its long-awaited sequel. Where the 2010 original was a relentless action game dressed in a Halloween costume, Alan Wake 2 is a full-bore survival horror. It comes
Hell
complete
yeah.
with puzzles, exploration,
That's a hard pass
backtracking,
for me.
and a crime
Dude,
fiction library's worth
I
of
fucking
creeping
love the
dread.
way this game
It feels
looks.
like almost every element of Alan Wake's gameplay has been reinvented. And, from what I can tell thus far, it's all for the better.
Holy shit, I see his
Local Gold
body
begins
explode.
with Saga arriving in Watery, a town established by Finnish settlers. It's just down the road from the original Alan Wake setting of Bright Falls, and carries a similar David Lynch vibe.
Damn.
Quaint, but off-kilter. In these opening minutes, it's clear that Alan Wake 2 is unlike any other game Remedy has made before. There's no urgency as I wander down Main Street, chatting with the locals about a nearby trailer park, a lead in my wider investigation into the Cult of the Tree, the story's looming threat. But while this may be slower paced than Remedy's previous action romps, it's no less weird. Everyone seems to already know who I am despite this being Saga's first visit to Watery. And Artie is performing a rousing number at the local cafe. Yes, Artie, the janitor from Control.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know if the
Well,
coffee here is
in
damn fine,
Control,
but the
that
atmosphere certainly
They're
is.
connected, right?
Oh,
Yeah, they're in the same world, but it's interesting. They're fully investing in that and
It'll lead you there.
A chat with
cross-pollinating more.
entrepreneurial oddballs the Koskela brothers puts me on the trail of some spare keys for the trailer
Also think it'd be
park,
cool if
which are
IGN
locked up in the
didn't
gift shop of Coffee World,
let
a
people
local
know
theme
that he's in
park.
this.
My journey there
That'd be
reveals
cool to
that
see.
Alan Wake 2's world is built entirely different from its predecessor.
Man, look at all
Rather
them
than
trees.
the A to B shooting galleries that made up the original game, Watery
This
is
is-
an open hub of snaking forest trails that can be freely explored and backtracked through. This has affected
Interesting.
the scenario design. Across the duration of the chapter, my objectives take me back and forth, discovering and revisiting locations as new items and
kinda like
information
Control.
expand the story.
I'll play along.
where you
for
run
now.
around freely.
I need the key to that trailer.
This is
If the
such a
opening
huge
walk
fucking
through
jump
Watery
from the
presents an
last
air of
game.
Silent Hill,
Visually, it's
then this
crazy.
later approach positions Alan Wake 2 close to Resident Evil, which has long used its police stations and villages in a similar manner. That relationship is further emphasized by the abundance of puzzles. As I get closer to Coffee World, I stumble across a number of containers, each locked by a brain teaser with a difficulty level that scales in correlation with the rewards
Brain
inside.
teaser.
I find a basic supply chest that's protected by a simple memory minigame, but later discover a lockbox containing a powerful crossbow. Cracking it requires a close study of the surrounding environment, as the bolts embedded in the nearby targets are clues to the padlock's combination.
Looks like they're tools of the trade.
I appreciate this more involved and ambiguous approach over Resident Evil's tradition of using an unusual item as a key, although that design does still make an appearance later in the chapter. The touch of Resident Evil can also be found in Alan Wake 2's combat encounters, which are framed from an almost identical camera angle and have the remake's same snappy, stressful gunplay. There's a grisly wound system too, that opens up wet cavities with each gunshot. But that familiar
Yeah, I was about to
foundation
say
is blended with more
the
original
gore
Remedy
system is
ideas.
way
The
more
dodge
advanced than I
returns
thought
from
it'd
the
be.
first game, so ducking beneath hurled hatchets and melee swipes
Especially
is
compared to
still
what we
part
just
of the
watched.
rhythm. And then there's the core of Alan Wake's DNA, the flashlight. Enemies are still cloaked
Hell
in shadow, which must
yeah.
be burned away with the beam of your torch before bullets will inflict damage. It's great to see that unique mechanic return, not only for its ties to the lore, but also because it provides a distinct, tension-laced two-step approach to every
Bro,
enemy.
he's taking bullets.
True.
They weren't.
At the same time, it's equally great to see what Remedy has dropped from its original formula. The encounters in this demonstration mission are a far cry from the relentless waves of enemies that populated the first game. Instead, moments of violence are spaced much further apart and involve just one or two assailants. A single foe is a significant, bullet-absorbing challenge. It makes fights feel scrappy and desperate, a hurricane of adrenaline where every round counts. The journey to Coffee World is host to just two of these encounters. It seems like much of Alan Wake 2's horror is built on the nervous anticipation of violence rather than combat itself. More enemies lie in wait between the rides and stalls of the fairground, but the real battle here is one of the mind. Because on
I
Saga's
appreciate
side of the story,
having a
Alan Wake
fucking
2 is not just
reticle.
a survival horror. It's a
In the original
detective
one,
game
you used to
too.
use
We are
the
playing an
end of your-
FBI
Oh, I
agent after all.
remember.
Flashlight,
So Remedy has built a
which is a
small
great
collection
idea,
of bespoke
but
systems to support that
not great
investigative
nowadays.
fantasy. As I explore Watery, I gather an increasing pile of clues and evidence. Saga does not automatically make sense of these clues. Instead, they must be deciphered in the Mind Place, a mental representation of an FBI office in Saga's head. Here you can profile people that you've met to learn more about them, and arrange clues on a case board to make connections and unlock new mission objectives. In the most simplistic terms, this is a match the card to the right location puzzle. Evidence that explains a person's motive goes in the motive section of the board, for example, and cannot be placed anywhere else. The version of the system that I used for this preview was, unfortunately, a little clunky. The interface and UI prompts were slightly unintuitive, and occasionally I found that evidence wouldn't fit where it logically should do, forcing me to just try every option until the clue stuck. It wasn't particularly satisfying, but before I left the studio, Remedy was already using my feedback to fine-tune the caseboard. Hopefully it's in a better place in time for release.
Yeah, dude, you
when it
fixed
works,
the game.
though, I can
You're a
see
hero.
the value in the mechanic. I arrive at Coffee World's gift shop only to discover that a locked door prevents me from picking up the keys to the trailer park. Using the caseboard, I'm able to piece together notes that I find on a pinboard. A previous jammed lock was released using a screwdriver, and a maintenance man reports having recently fixed the percolator ride. The clues combine to trigger a new objective. Find the screwdriver used by the maintenance man and use it to break the gift shop's lock.
Using screwdrivers to break into gift shops isn't exactly standard procedure.
This admittedly isn't genuine
matter,
detective
standard.
work
Just
such as
needs to
that
work.
seen in games like Paradise Killer and Return of the Obra Dinn, but the approach does provide the sense of your actions pushing the case forward and opening up new lines of investigation. And while the gift shop lock is a very simple example, I can see the board being vital to the much larger Cult of the Tree case, where there will likely be substantially more leads and categories of evidence.
Destructible
The board
environments,
breaks
that's
all
cool.
that down into clear components and allows you to easily track its individual threads. That's helpful from a narrative perspective, and hopefully it will feel fulfilling when it comes to the detective roleplay of it all too. The detective work, map design, scrappy combat encounters, and slower, tense pace of Alan Wake 2 make it a very different proposition from its predecessor. In fact, from what I've seen across both my hands-on time and the demo shown at Gamescom last month, it feels like Remedy may be making one of the most radical sequels in video game history. While I love the studio's action game pedigree, this new experiment with survival horror so far feels like the approach Alan Wake was always meant to take. It's cerebral, grimy, atmospheric,
Borderline
and
felt like it
bursting with
anyways, though.
character. I can't wait to turn the page and find out what's lurking in the next chapter. For more Alan
Yeah,
Wake
they can
2,
really-
check out this extended gameplay
They can really take
video and keep it locked to
game
IGN first
story
throughout the
in
entire
any
month of
direction.
September.
All right, thoughts?
I mean, it's a good looking game.
It's fucking gorgeous looking.
I also appreciate the trails out in the woods and stuff. That's very familiar.
Yeah, it looks good.
The interactions between like the bullet impact and stuff like that on people is also really good. It's also one thing I did not like when I was playing the first game was I felt like I was just like constantly fighting for my life against something, and I didn't get very far. So obviously my opinion only goes so far. But
Yeah.
But when you mentioned like longer spaces in between encounters and like less things to fight, I mean that sounds more appealing to me anyways, just because like the parts of the game I think I would have enjoyed, I just kind of felt like I was constantly stressed out because I was like worried if that I was gonna be fighting something immediately again.
Yeah,
So-
kind of what I took from that too when he said less things, not necessarily in the sense of like not running into enemies, but encounters are more like an event where like people are doing that weird teleporting shit and stuff, and he's found like two people as opposed to as opposed to in the original game. And when we replayed it again, I was reminded of it. There's a lot of parts where we run through the woods and like 5 dudes just come out of the bushes in different directions, and they're all like throwing axes at you, and you got like 2 dudes walking at you, you got a big guy lumbering at you, and then people are just throwing axes at you from like other directions that you don't even see them at. And it I love Alan Wake, so like I don't really have an issue with that, but it is pretty chaotic sometimes where you're like hitting the dodge button constantly, and for a game where you should be like trying to survive these situations and shooting and stuff like that, is interesting that you're constantly dodging people nonstop, and you are dodging this as you're seeing right here, but it does seem like these encounters are supposed to be more tense on a 1-to-1 level as opposed to being overwhelmed by a shitload of dudes. Although I'm sure at some point they will probably do something like that, because that's also effective, as Resident Evil 4 has shown us. Being overwhelmed is a whole other different kind of horror. But yeah, I would prefer what they're talking about here as opposed to the original game's design, where their way to ramp up difficulty was just shove a lot of enemies at you at once. So
Yeah. I mean, outside of that, I can't really like contribute much because
can't participate, dude.
I don't really have any affinity for the game, and it is a sequel to a game that I honestly would not want to play again. So, and not because it's bad, it's just definitely not for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's fair. This is a hard sequel. This isn't like a, skim through the story and start from here thing. It's like I would never tell somebody to play like fucking Last of Us Part 2 without playing Last of Us. Like that would be stupid. Yeah, I'm so excited for this game. It's gorgeous looking. I mean, this is like one of the best looking games I've seen in a while. The environments are fantastic. The animations are fantastic. The shooting looks so much better than the first game. And of course it should be. The first game's old at this point. But it's so interesting to see, like I said before, all Remedy games share this, they all have their own like mechanics and stuff, but they're all like third-person shooters. But they always improve so much. But this is a sequel to a prior one they've made. It's interesting to see how it's evolved as a third-person shooter while still maintaining so much of that Alan Wake DNA. Like the flashlight, of course, is huge if that wasn't in it, and of course it would be. But if it wasn't in it, it would be like weird. It'd be like, okay, where's the light mechanic at? Otherwise, you're just kind of, Control is its own thing, but it's in the same universe. But you're not dealing with like light situations. You're doing a lot of telekinetic and flying type shit.
Sci-fi gun.
Yeah, and it has its own feel while still kind of feeling similar. Whereas, like, this has a lot of similarities to the original Alan Wake, as it should, but also feels modern. Like I said, I'm very glad to see that crosshair. It's interesting too, though, because it's evolving. Where you're playing a saga. I don't know if you'll do the same as Alan Wake or not, but the investigation aspect, which, if I'm being honest, sounds cool, but that's not really my favorite stuff to be doing in a game, is sitting around putting pieces together and figuring out puzzles. But because I'm going to be invested in the story, I'm going to want to do that stuff. But it is cool they're even changing it up a bit. I think of the idea that she has this mental office in her head that you can teleport yourself to put ideas together to figure things out, is a really cool idea that was obviously not in the first game. So that is a cool evolution of, and also adds an element to this character that's now being introduced to Alan Wake's world that makes her feel unique and individual. If they wanted to make a game later with her, if she survives this, I don't know. She could have her own thing that can carry over too. So I do think that's really cool. Be really interesting to see how they handle Alan Wake, though. Like, I'm sure that it's going to feel different when you play both of them. So yeah, cool evolution in this, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say outside of it just looks fucking fantastic. Can't wait to play it. And honestly, I don't want to know anything else about it. That they even kind of mentioned a couple things there of like, oh, these things are returning, and this character from that is in this. Those would have been cool to find out organically, but I guess that's a price to pay when I am out here looking for information on the game. So the game also seems a lot more puzzle heavy than the last game, which is cool, but also not exciting for me personally, because I'm not a big puzzle guy. I don't mind doing them, but for me, it typically feels like it's kind of slowing down the pacing or stopping the flow of a game a lot of times when you get stopped to do a puzzle. If they're like optional ones on the side, like this kind of is saying, like you find like a random safe and it's got like this thing to figure out, that's one thing. But like, when you're playing like Uncharted, even though Uncharted always had like amazing fucking set piece puzzles, it does feel weird when you're just blasting your way through shit and then all of a sudden you gotta stop and hang out in a room for a while to figure something out. And I don't ever feel satisfied when I figure out a puzzle. Like, I know a lot of people really enjoy that stuff, but for me, I'm just like, okay, let's go. So yeah, long story short, the puzzle element of this is cool because it gives it a more cerebral feel, but it's not like a huge exciting thing for me. I just want to shoot stuff and move forward with the story and find out more. But I'm sure it's cool. Also, this whole thing where you put clues together and it gives you new objectives to do is also really interesting. I'm really curious to see how that works.
Yeah, except for the way he explained it, made it seem like it was like they had a place they had to go anyway. So like it almost seems pointless to have to set them down if
that's what
click into a
that's what I was gonna say is if it works in a dynamic way, it'd be more interesting gameplay wise. But if it is just a visual narrative thing where like this is gonna happen anyway, but they're doing it to kind of be within the theme of the game and how things work, then yeah, okay, maybe it's just kind of a waste of that potential. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, overall, really excited. Can't wait to play this, and it looks fantastic. And yeah, if Remedy's making a game, I'm gonna pick it up. So this is that. I'm ready to play it. Anything else? All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Alan Wake 2 exclusive hands-on preview. What were some of the things that stood out to you here, and what are some of the features you think are looking really good, or maybe you're worried about? What are you hoping for from this game? And yeah, what do you think about it? Did you play the first game? Let me know what you think about it in the comments below when it comes to Alan Wake 2. All right, and with that, it's that time again where we reflect on past episodes and read your comments. If you want your comment to be read for sure, type in hashtag AskTLG. Holy shit. Otherwise, I read it at random. It helps me also find the comments, too, if you put that in. But for the most part, I just read them. All right, so we did a taste cast, which was 193, the last one, where we reacted to Gamescom. It's been a while since we did that. And we got a comment from Runtycode. I know her. And she said, it's cool to see Last Epoch here, because they showed the trailer of Last Epoch. The trailer was a little lackluster, but it's probably geared to people who haven't played or heard of the game before, so I can appreciate that. Rune Master is what I've been waiting for to finally try out the Sorcerer, so I'm excited about that. Me too. The trailer did feel a little lackluster for us as well, so we're all kind of on the same page, but all three of us have played Last Epoch quite a bit, so I do kind of agree with you. It's probably that trailer was more so to let people know the game exists, I think, and to kind of just let us know it's coming. But the worst thing about like a ARPG when they like showcase like a class is like, you know, you can only show so much effects. Like, you gotta just let people experience it and tool around with the build. So yeah, I think it is just kind of let people know it's coming. I'm also excited for any of the classes that they've been working on that are coming, because whatever I'm playing has one missing, I believe, and I wanted to play that. So yeah, I don't know when that's coming though. I need to look at a roadmap, but yeah, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we both thought it was cool that Last Epoch even made an appearance, because I did not expect that at all. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, brought it up before, obviously on the channel, but definitely one of my favorite ARPGs. I'm looking forward to the direction it goes. Really, the only other one I have on my sights is PoE 2. So, but
yeah, same. I haven't seen it, but I'm curious to see what they do with Titan Quest 2, but it's unproven, so I can't be hyped for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the comment, Runtycode. All right. Last video was our review of Outriders, which got more views than I thought it'd get, 118. I'm happy with that. In which we discussed Outriders, and I discussed World Slayer, and it was a good conversation because we got to beat that game and discuss it fully. So it's always a rare treat. Okay, so starting with the first comment we got from the Josh saying, "Ma journal." There's a part in Outriders where he says something about a journal, but it sounds like he just says "ma journal." So Josh is just reliving those memories. So thank you for the comment, Josh. Cyber Scream says, wow, been meaning to jump back into Final Fantasy 14 and just haven't found the time. Fucking you and me both. But hopefully you're finding the time to do it this month, and I'll be trying to hop on this weekend. So hopefully some of you guys will be on when I hop on. Cyber Scream also says, also forgot about Outriders as game of the month. Been fucking busy as shit. Preach. I also have been busy as shit, and it's just finally starting to get to the point where I feel like I'm not busy as shit all the time. So that's fucking nice.
I
Summer.
the same. I got planning for next month. So.
Sure. Yeah. Well, with my vacation now, my 2 vacations out of the way in the last month, and then work being busy as fuck during the summer, it is starting to calm down. So I also had a personal thing in life that was, I had a lot of time being spent into, and that is, not there anymore. So, yeah, I feel a lot more relaxed and ready to play games. And so it seems like everybody's been busy as shit. And yeah. But yeah, sometime we should play Outriders, Psycho, Chevy, and somebody else. It's 3-player, never mind. Because I would like to play the end game.
It is 3-player, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. When I have 2 people and only 2 people to play a game, I'm like, that's fine. But a lot of times there'll be like a 4th person. I'm like, why isn't it 4-player?
Yeah, but I'll say a 4-player game that just scales when you have less people does the same thing. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that people just build it from the ground up with 3 people in mind, though, when they do that. But I would love to hear a developer, if you're a dev who's made a 3-player game and you chose to do that, let me know why you choose that.
Yeah,
that'd be very interesting. You have anything to add to this?
Scream being busy?
Yeah.
Same, bro. Same.
Yeah. He's playing Monster Hunter now, though. Just like us.
It's not a huge time sink, at least.
It's a game you can play on the go.
Yeah.
Last comment is from Cody
Zorpus.
His name was Cody Corpus for the longest time, so I was like, is that an X?
That's probably when YouTube switched everyone to handles.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. I wonder if he changed that or if they did that.
He might not have had access to the one he wanted.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Let us know. Let me know, Cody. Just hit me up. Anyway, he says, watching your gameplay actually makes me want to pick up Outriders now. I'm a sucker for any looter shooter. I think you should. I think you'd like it. But you have a similar problem that I have and Sarah has, in which we are just like, that game looks interesting. Buy it. Play it for a little bit. That game looks interesting. Buy it. Play it for, oh, wait, hold on. That game looks interesting. So if you do pick it up, let me know. We can play it. But if you're just going to play it for like 5 seconds, don't pick it up. There's better games to be spending more time on. But definitely check it out.
Yeah, Remnant 2.
Yeah, 100%. I recommend Outriders for sure. But if you were like, yeah, I already got Remnant 2, should I pick up Outriders? Let's play Remnant 2. Let's get that knocked out first, because that's the better game.
Yeah.
As for September's game of the month, I'm actually really stoked to play Final Fantasy 14. Have you played it? Have you been playing it?
I would be curious on that as well.
I still haven't played it. Everyone I know who plays it loves it. True. Because everyone you know who plays it is continuing to play it. And so they love it, because the people who played it and don't play anymore didn't love it. So I know plenty of people who tried it and then didn't stick with it.
Yeah.
Is a very specific game. And then my game of the month suggestion for October, we got a suggestion and vote from Cody. And he says, is Labyrinthine? I've already noted that it's on my list.
English
and this is a reminder for anybody listening or watching. That's Cody's vote. If you want us to play Labyrinthine, don't vote. If you don't want us to play that in October, make sure to vote and give Cody some competition. So he says, more co-op horror. I haven't played it yet, but it looks really spooky. Perfect for the month. Chevy will love that. It would be really funny to get you to play a horror game for
everyone but me.
Yeah. If that were to happen, I'll buy the game for you, because I don't expect you to buy a game that you have no interest in playing like that. But Cody has voted, and that is now on the list. So make sure everybody watching votes. Put it in right now in the comments what game you want us to play in October, because Cody has done it himself. I have a sneaking suspicion on what game Sarah's going to vote for, though. I won't spoil it for her, though. All right. So, yeah. Thank you for the vote, Cody.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I'm fucking ready to play a co-op horror game, but that is not within Chevy's wheelhouse. And then 14, make sure to play it. Let me know if you are playing it. And Outriders.
Yeah, and I'm actually, this is for anyone this is relevant to, who plays with us basically in 14. If you do hop on, say something. I will hop on.
Unless you're antisocial, you don't have to. You don't because everyone's going to bother you. I'm joking. They won't.
No, just putting it out there. I'm at a point in the game. Like if you were like, hey, I want to do this thing. Okay, I'll hop on and do that thing with you.
They're all on downtime right now, so if you need some shit knocked out, they're just waiting. It's like what that guy says in Gladiator when he says they're all fattened and bored or whatever. That's you guys right now. You guys are just ready to fucking get into some bullshit.
Pretty much. And the problem with the way the game is developed now, not to say anything necessarily negative, but for someone who's like looks forward to like a grind in an MMO, that part's disappearing at this point. So like the story comes out and I'm gonna get real excited to hop on, and in 2 days I'm done. So but we are kind of winding down and heading into a new expansion as well, so it's kind of a weird time.
Yeah, and if you pick up Outriders, let me know. But that's going to do it. Thank you, everybody who commented on those videos, and thank you, everybody who watched those videos. But I've been Seth. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me for this Tasty Cast. I will see you tomorrow when we react to not only Nintendo Direct, but also State of Play. Why the fuck are they both happening on the same day? That's wild. So you guys will be getting 3 episodes within 24 hours likely, but thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us for this conversation, and we will roll the outro. All right, let's get it for episode 194 of Tasty Cast. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out our socials and streams, link down below. Check out our Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us in audio form. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. And I have a TikTok link down below if you'd like to watch the longer form versions of the shorts that I put up on YouTube, in which you can watch my shorts here, and hopefully you have been. But until next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.